Good morning and happy Friday, everybody. It's November 8th, and I'm John Weigell here with Mark Dent, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Big-name baseball players have always hit the big time when it comes to cash. Now, some players are eyeing near billion-dollar contracts. The likes of Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, and more are part of this well-compensated group. But is it all about the highest bidder? And is there a financial ceiling in this here ballpark? We'll get to that in a bit, but first, let's give it the hits and headlines in business and tech. Starting off with Wendy's. Wendy's is using AI to bolster their Frosty sales. The fast food chain partnered with Palantir Technologies to help anticipate supply shortages before they happen. Wendy's promotions like, the $1 Frosty have already made use of the AI, as I'm sure promotions will in the future. So, Mark, what do you make of this Wendy's AI partnership here?
I think it could be a really good idea, especially if they're able to really use it to kind of figure out, when something's very popular or when something's not. I think there's really a lot of potential that will be good economically for Wendy's and also just, overall a little bit better for the planet. This also does bring to mind, however, news from, I think, probably about 6 months ago now, when Wendy's was going to have that Uber-style pricing where they would potentially charge more during the lunch rush. This seems like it could be affiliated with that, perhaps in the future at least.
Could be. Yeah. The AI could alert you when you're getting the last Baconator, and the surge pricing will be crazy. I mean, peak Baconator times, 12 to 2 p.m. probably.
Oh, yeah, no question. But nevertheless, I do think that it's generally a good thing for Wendy's and for other fast food restaurants to be using this technology.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe this could lead to less sellouts across the nation. My mind goes back to the famous debut of the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe there could be less situations like that and more supply when it's needed. Moving up north to Canada, Canada is shutting down TikTok offices. They ordered the closure of parent company ByteDance's operations in Canada due to national security risks. The app itself isn't banned in Canada, and TikTok officials are set to appeal that decision. From there, we go to space. The first ever wooden satellite is now in space. Yep, that's correct. A satellite made of just wood. Lignosat, the company behind the innovation, took this step to engineer non-aluminum-based satellite tech, meaning greener options for space technology. That is, if it works. We're still waiting on that testing. And from space back down to Earth into the streaming world, Warner Brothers Discovery said Max saw 7.2 million new global subscribers in Q3, the biggest quarterly growth for the streaming platform since it launched. And it had also reached 110.5 total subscribers as of September 30th. Big news for a platform, Mark, that was not doing too hot since it launched. This Q3 has been kind of big for them.
It really has, and it's been just a truly tortured existence for Max slash HBO Max.
Poor Max.
I know, and they launched, I think it was either 2019 or 2020. It's been several years now.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the most obvious, good streaming platform, right? Because it's you get to have all the HBO stuff, you get to have Warner Brothers type of movies.
Discovery too, it encompasses all.
Yeah, and now that they've added all the Discovery, there is a lot of options there. But for whatever reason, it's just been harder to resonate. Obviously, it has had a bit more of a premium price point than some of the others. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, I think that they wanted to reach this goal a long time ago, of 110 million. And perhaps this is finally the sign that all of the weird stuff, all the ownership switches that's been going on around this streaming platform is perhaps in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, when the platform completely switched from HBO Max to Max, I know there was kind of a lot of weird backlash, a lot of Reddit, actually. A lot of people on Reddit not really loving the new direction or anything like that. And there were some reports on the quality not being up to snuff with the other streaming services. So yeah, we'll see where it can go from here. It seems like they're doing a much better job and course corrected quite a bit.
Yeah, no doubt.
And finally, you've heard of Taco Bell Pizza Hut, but Dine Brands is opening a first-of-its-kind combined chain restaurant in Texas next year. The restaurant will be divided in two, with the interiors of both of the chains represented, but customers can order from both menus no matter where they sit. If you got any guesses on the combo and the chains involved, we'll reveal that in the bottom of the ninth of the pod. With smaller budgets and sky-high expectations, growth is feeling pretty painful right now. But HubSpot just announced more than 200 major product updates to make impossible growth feel impossibly easy. Like Breeze, a suite of new AI-powered tools that help you say goodbye to busy work and hello to better work. Breeze Intelligence to give you the richest, most comprehensive picture of your prospects and customers, and Reimagine marketing and content hubs to attract and convert more leads and send your revenue soaring. Visit HubSpot.com/spotlight to learn more. Our main story is about a bunch of players in the MLB right now who are absolutely cleaning up money-wise, and the teams that want them are looking to pay more than they ever have before. So, Mark, can you tell me just a bit about baseball salaries, what makes this sport just incredibly lucrative?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, baseball has surprisingly, because of the way that it's kind of fallen down a peg in terms of like overall popularity in the US, it has still been the one that kind of sets the new records when it comes to how players get compensated, for the most part, at least. Every once in a while, you might see an NBA superstar,
Sure,
like Michael Jordan in the 90s or something like that, where there's just like an astronomical salary. But it's generally baseball where it happens. And obviously, during this last offseason, it was Shohei Ohtani, who had a $700 million contract with the Dodgers that was record setting. But now that contract is going to probably at least be equaled and potentially surpassed by Juan Soto of the New York Yankees currently, and of who the heck knows next year. Whoever's going to be able to pay him that really huge amount of money, which again, if he gets more than 700 would be a pretty unprecedented number.
Yeah, I mean, he's a free agent right now. He's kind of shopping around. And one of the biggest things about this is his age, because he is only 26 years old. I mean, like Shohei Ohtani, somebody who's also very accomplished and got that high salary, as you just mentioned, is 30. So that difference is huge, because the next contract that Soto signs could be a 10 to 15 year lifetime team contract, but he's definitely shopping around. And I guess he's no stranger to doing that in the past, as he got this contract with the Yankees and he used to play for the Nationals for a kind of big sum as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point, though, because Soto is, I think, going to turn 26 pretty soon. He's been playing in the major league since he was 19. He was offered what would have been a near record-setting, if not record-setting, contract of $440 million by the Washington Nationals just a couple of years ago, and he turned that one down. The thing about baseball is that these contracts are usually not good investments. And I know that's weird to say, like when the Yankees re-signed someone like Aaron Judge, who I believe is 31 years old right now, they're generally paying him for his previous accomplishments, right?
Right.
Because, these players are on relatively inexpensive contracts for their first several years. And so it's like on the back end, you earn what you should have made as like a 28-year-old, and then you're not as good. I mean, Aaron Judge is in 3 or 4 years not going to be nearly as good as he is now,
Sure.
And maybe even sooner. That's just like how life works, unfortunately. But Juan Soto, this could be like the rare case where, if he signs a 10-year contract, it might be a good investment that entire 10-year period.
Yeah.
Which would be very unusual.
Right. It really could be. That's a question I really had for you, was if these investments really pay off that way, because there's a lot of other factors here, right, in baseball that I think could pay off those numbers, especially if you have somebody who's a household name now, like Ohtani or Soto, and, you sell merch out the wazoo. I mean, that could potentially be a reason why they would keep them around. But these guys were just in the World Series, both of them, and the salaries are going to be big anywhere Soto goes. But I wonder why Major League Baseball is specifically so liberal with its salaries. Like, what differentiates it from any other sports organization in that way?
One of the major reasons is that there's no salary cap like there is in the NFL and the NBA. And there are penalties if you charge X amount of dollars for your entire payroll, but it's not even close. Like there's also revenue sharing, for instance, in the NFL, to where you have the teams, they share the pot of money for TV rights, in a more, I guess, fair way, you could say, than in Major League Baseball, where you have these regional TV deals in addition to a big national TV deal. For one thing, those regional TV deals are flawed and in very bad shape in a lot of cities, as anyone who sort of follows sports would know. If you know the name Bally's, you know that it's a nightmare, but that's kind of beside the point. So teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers, they just get a lot more revenue because of those kind of local TV deals and everything, among other reasons. They also just have larger fan bases, So they have a ton of money to spend, and some of the other teams don't. And so they can use it by giving someone like Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani, $700 million or more.
Yeah.
And the thing is whether it's ever a good investment, like I was just talking about performance-wise and Soto having a lot of years left in him. Mm-hmm. Someone like Ohtani, he's also around 30 right now. So he most likely will be on the back part of his career in another year or two at least. You never know, because he's also potentially the best player since Babe Ruth. But what he's doing is he's brought so many fans into the fold from Japan.
Yeah.
And so it's absolutely going to be a winning investment for the Dodgers. And that doesn't even get into the fact that his contract is just unlike anything that's ever been before, because basically all of it is deferred money.
Right.
So it won't even be worth $700 million in the way we think of $700 million today when the Dodgers actually pay it. So there are ways that these teams can make it a good investment. And I think with Soto, whoever does get him, it probably will be at least a pretty good one. Probably not an Ohtani good one.
Yeah, but I mean, he's definitely campaigning for the high one. So.
Oh, he is. And I think he'll get it. I mean, he'll get close to 700, I'm sure.
He probably would. I mean, I think he's gunning for $1 billion, but we'll see if any team can realistically give him that money, because he's definitely shopping around to a couple big ones, of course, like Yankees, Dodgers, Nationals as well. So we'll see kind of where he ends up. But
I actually think he should get $1 billion. And I think that there should be more teams willing to give him $1 billion. So we were just talking about how rich, for instance, the Yankees and the Dodgers are, and the Mets, which are also going to be in the running for Soto. The owner of the Mets is, Steve Cohen, who's really well known in the finance world. I mean, his net worth, I looked it up right before we got on here, and it's above $20 billion. And when you think of the owners of these teams, they're not all Steve Cohen, but they are all very wealthy. Like, they can figure out a way to pay $1 billion over like 15 years or whatever the amount it would be. They could all do it. So I think everyone should be in the running. I think the Kansas City Royals, that's the team that I tend to cheer for, my home team. I think they should be in the running. The Milwaukee Brewers figure out a way to be in the running. And, it shouldn't just be these East Coast, West Coast teams.
These big players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, though, because if he does, for example, get such a high contract, a $1 billion contract, what kind of precedent does that set for the next big, like 19 to 20-year-old guy coming out of wherever, It could really, really shake up the entire industry if he does kind of clinch a very, very high contract like that, like Ohtani did.
For sure. And just talking about setting these like new precedents. So 30 years ago in 1992, Danny Tartabull signed a contract with the New York Yankees, which made him the second highest paid player at the time. That was for 5 years, $25 million, which would be the equivalent now of around maybe 50 million or so, maybe 60. So that just goes to show, like, we're talking a 5-year deal for 60 million. If Soto signed a 5-year, which it'll be more like a 10-year probably, but if it were a 5-year, he would be 5-year, $300 million. We're talking 5x more, than what people made just 30 years ago.
Jeez, that's insane. Is it too late for me at age 30, you think, to start the craft, you think?
Never. It's never too late.
Pick up a bat. All right, and before we go, everybody, we're at the bottom of the ninth of the pod, and I'm going to unveil that Dine Brands will unveil a first-of-its-kind Applebee's and IHOP combo restaurant in Texas next year. I will be first in line for some pancakes and steak.
That sounds really good.
It actually kind of does. You can get like the best of both worlds, like the dinner from the Applebee's, the breakfast from the IHOP. Just hang out all day.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and that's going to do it for us today. Everybody, thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you all on Tuesday.
Hi, everyone. It's Michael Calore, Director of Consumer Tech and Culture at Wired, here with my colleagues, Senior Writer Lauren Good.
Hello.
And Wired contributor Zoe Schiffer.
Hey, everyone.
We're here to tell you about our new podcast, Uncanny Valley, a show about the people, power, and influence of Silicon Valley.
Every week, we get together to talk about how technology and culture from the Valley is influencing our everyday lives.
We dig into questions like, will we ever get our privacy back? Is OpenAI for real? And how are Silicon Valley billionaires impacting U.S. elections?
The first episode of Uncanny Valley comes out on October 31st. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.